2017 Mini Cooper S7. With about 190 brake, it's made to contend with people like Ford with the Fiesta ST and Vauxhall with the Corsa VXR. I tested one of these last year and was hugely surprised by the driving quality and just the characteristic of the car. So I asked to spend a bit more time in one, and the car gods gave me my wish. I'm going to spend the week driving this to my gigs, driving it as a daily, my standard, seeing how I get on from a Music Motors point of view. How much equipment can it take? What's the fuel economy like? So welcome to Music Motors. Obviously a Mini is Mini, but just how mini can a Mini be when it's a Mini? I'm going to put all my equipment in, but I'm going to have to put the back seats down. Next up was driving to the gig, and as you would expect, it was an easy, relaxing, calm drive. Fuel economy was pretty good, going up to at maximum about 42-43 miles per gallon, but it was easy, the visibility was good, and the ride was comfortable. And so just like that, I'm loaded in for the gig. It was a pleasant and easy drive. I mean, central London's never going to be fun to get into, but as a whole, it was easy. The car didn't skip a beat. It was easy enough to put that together so that I could leave some stuff in the boot without prying eyes seeing. And now I'm ready for the gig, and I'm not dreading the drive home because I've got heated seats and it's going to be relaxing and cool. The drive-through test. Probably the most important test any vehicle will ever undergo. Why? Because everyone needs McDonald's. The drive-through test may seem a silly thing, but you'd be pretty annoyed if you bought a car to realise it didn't have many cup holders. Well, this Mini has 3 just in the back, let alone the ones in the front. With a good turning radius, you'd have no issue in even the tightest of drive-throughs. Mini has a heritage, and it has a massive history with a huge, not even cult following, just a huge following of people who want to keep the old Mini alive. So I've invited some people down with their classic Mini just to show me what they have, and so I can get a glimpse of what the original Mini was, so then I can compare it against what it is today. Mini has run in my family for a multitude of years, so I've always loved them. So it'll be really exciting to see just how far the Mini has come in the last 50, 60 years. Speaking to the classic Mini owners, you soon realise why they love these machines. I mean, they're not the most reliable of machines and they do break down, but through that you get an amazing love bond to these machines. BMW definitely captured what Mini originally had, and even though it's not as mini as it used to be, the shape is there, the character is there, and it's still a cute little car. The weekly shop, a test which all of us undergo on a weekly basis. But if you're looking at a car, one of the things that people don't really test is, what's the shopping capability? How easy is it to fill this up with shopping? Now, I don't expect the actual boot to take a huge amount. It may well take the full amount, but I'm expecting it not to. However, the test really comes in at how easy is it to get into the back to put the stuff in there. So it kind of goes without saying that it doesn't have a big boot, but surprisingly it took a lot more than I thought it would, including all my camera equipment. I was surprised I didn't have to put anything in back, even though I didn't do a full shot. So while it isn't a class-leading boot, it isn't as big as like a Golf or a Corsa, for instance, it's misleading because it does take a lot more than you think. It's just kind of a weird shape. Community, it's an important factor of any car enthusiast's car life. And unlike brands like Volkswagen and normal BMW, there isn't this new old barrier. There isn't this hatred towards the new and the old being together. So tonight I'm going to a Mini Club meet, which is around the corner from me, and I want to see what it's all about. Driving to the Mini, I just loved how it handled. I loved the roads, I loved the sound. It was a really enjoyable drive there. To then arrive and be just welcomed into this club of people who love old and new, who just don't mind the fact that the new ones are there. There isn't this hatred, there is this community, and you're one of us. The car park test. A very important test because everyone's got to park their car somewhere. Obviously this is going to be an easy car to park, and it really is. It is actually one of the easiest cars to park I've ever driven. Even in the tightest of spaces I can fit it in without even screaming that I'm going to curb the wheels or any issues. It's just so easy to park, so easy to drive. So I've spent a week with this car. I've driven it almost 500 miles, it'll be 500 miles when it goes back. And what are my general thoughts with this? Well, I mean, I am massively impressed with it as a whole, but from a musician's motor point of view, I'm not sure it's quite perfect. The reason being that the amount of space that it has to take equipment is considerably smaller than I would be used to. Now that's not to say it's not a capable car, because it most certainly is, and it puts up with the harshest of pushing that I can do. It does absolutely phenomenally around town, and the fuel economy for the power and fun that you get is very good. About 38 on a run, and around town probably more like low 30s. If I drove like a hooligan, I would see mid-20s, but that's with sport mode, traction control off, and generally just booting everywhere. So from that point of view, I would say from me having to use it as a music motors, it would be difficult. Not unachievable, it did take everything, but things weren't as secure as I'd like. People can see what's going on in the back of the car. But I can live with that. What I was seriously impressed with was the amount of community that still exists. Or, I mean, it's not surprising when it comes to the older Minis that it exists, but that there is such a strong bond with new Minis, and then there are owners that are crossing paths with the classic Mini owners in clubs, and there isn't that hatred that you get in Volkswagen clubs, for instance, between the new Beetle and the old Beetle. And it was really nice to see, and it was really good to see that community was there. This car comes with a lush array of extras, as every press car normally does, including things like a head-up display, double sunroof, and electric folding mirrors. But I'm pretty certain you could buy one of these and drive it as a daily without all these extras and still enjoy the driving experience. That's what this car is about. It's about a phenomenal driving experience, and it gives you just that, a phenomenal driving experience. At no point was I thinking, I'm not really enjoying my journey, I'm struggling, I'm doing whatever. At all points I was enjoying driving this, and whenever you thought, oh, I'm getting a bit bored, you stick it in sport mode, the exhaust makes a few cracks, and all of a sudden that smile back on your face because you're massively enjoying driving this car. For £26,405, do I think this is a good vehicle on the road? Yes. Does it contend with the Fiesta ST, with the Corsa VXR? Yes. It's slightly smaller inside than a Corsa VXR, but every manufacturer does things slightly differently. For instance, a VXR would have a lot more plastic inside. This has a lot more leather trim, and for instance, the infotainment system is absolutely phenomenal. Connects to your phone, connects to Spotify, and it works brilliantly. The mixture of the iDrive system in here, where you've got that kind of touch pad down here, allows you to do whatever you need to do while you're driving without taking your eyes off the road. You literally write the letters you want. The heated seats in this were fantastic from a musician's point of view. After you've had a gig with heavy weight on your back, to then be able to drive, put heat on your back and relax is exactly what you need. For driving in London, I couldn't fault this in the slightest, because it was small, nimble, got into small parking spaces, you had folding mirrors for when things got really a bit sketchy, but it was an easy drive. However, when you do go into sport mode, and you probably will want to turn traction control off to have a bit more fun, you will find this does become quite active. It will easily, in the dry, spin into second gear. Even with traction control on first and second, it can be a bit hairy, and the computer has to take over to say, I'm not happy with it. One thing that I did like, which I've seen only in one other vehicle so far, is the automatic rev matching. So that means that no matter what I'm doing, I can always guarantee to be able to rev match and not have a lurch here or there. However, if you're like me, sometimes you do like to use engine braking. The only way to then turn that function off is to turn it into sport mode, turn the traction control off completely, and then the car is literally in manual mode. It is entirely up to you what happens then. I'm massively impressed by the speaker system that's in this car. It sounded great, it was loud, it was defined. It maybe could have been a little bit louder, but I can live with the volume it's at. It means that you're not going to be deafened. All the bits and pieces that were automatic worked flawlessly. I mean, the automatic wipers work exactly as you'd want them to without having to adjust for sensitivity. The heads-up display automatically comes up every time you start, and let me tell you, now I've had the heads-up display, I kind of don't want to drive without one. My only concern around town with this was the lock. It's okay, but as soon as you get into some tighter spot, you soon realise that a Golf has a better turning circle. It can be a little precarious around town, let's just say that. But as a whole, I was massively impressed. This car didn't let me down. All the features were there, the quality was there. The quality of the stitching, the quality of everything. It got me from A to B safely, and at no point was I thinking, I'm not up for this drive. It was fun and engaging to drive with. The community engagement was great. The noise this made was phenomenal. The fuel economy was more than acceptable. I would be tempted by one, but not as my daily, to perhaps to have one as a weekend warrior, purely for the fact that it would have been more economical for me to use my diesel Passat for my gigs, because the fuel economy is better and the load capacity is better. But at the weekend, you cannot beat what this can do. The smile it will put on your face is beyond words. From the noise, from the way it holds the road, it's great. But I suppose a bit of a warning to anyone who doesn't have a lot of experience in driving fast. These get quite, let's say, bunny hoppy under heavy braking from high speed. So you need to prepare yourself for that. If you don't, then it's gonna try and lift off oversteer on you, which is fun by all means anyway. On the back of the headrest, you have the Union Jack stitched in to the leather. There are little bits all over the car that kind of lets you know where it's from, how it's been made. There are Union Jacks all over it. I mean, the only place it didn't have a Union Jack was on the roof. Because this is the 7 edition, you get extra bits and pieces, certain wheels, and then the rest is just saying on the outside of the body it says 7, but that's it. From 7th edition point of view, it will stand out from other Minis, but it isn't so substantially changed that it's going to look totally different. I'm not sure how much of a collector's piece it will be in the future. I definitely like it. I like how it drives, I like how it looks, I like the characteristics of it, I like the engine sound. There's so many bits I like about it. The only bit I don't like is the low capacity, but that goes with the name, Mini. You don't expect something mini to take all of your belongings. I've definitely enjoyed my week driving it. It's been a really fun, engaging car to drive with. Every time you press the start button, a smile came on your face.